Concerning, very concerning, right? If I had to oversimplify my thoughts right now. Obviously, this was just a friendly, but the U.S. men's national team just lost to Belgium 5-2 at home. Now, the overall context of this game matters quite a bit. We're only 2 months away from the World Cup. We only have 3 more friendlies. So taking this downturn right now after we were catching some good momentum is concerning, okay? But with that said, what did we learn? Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. So today we have the 7 Things We Learned series, where every single day following a U.S. men's national team game, we tell you 7 things that we learned. Obviously, there are more than 7 lessons, so let me know in the comment section down below, what did you learn from Belgium 5, United States 2? And this was a big test, right? And we failed. There's no other way to put it. Now, understand that we're going to talk about this throughout the lessons. The first half was one game. The second half was a completely different game. So there were some positives out of this 5-2 loss. Believe it or not, there were. But the end result, or the final conclusion of this game, is that we should be concerned. Unless there's a massive bounce back against Portugal on Tuesday, at least I'm concerned. Now make sure to drop a like in this video if you haven't already. Help us hit 1,000 likes. This helps us push the video further in the YouTube algorithm, so it helps the channel quite a bit. Okay, that's all. Let's roll the intro and start with lesson number 1. Lesson number 1, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. Okay, so for the past 2 to 3 camps, the U.S. men's national team has explored and played in a 3-4-2-1 formation, where the width mainly comes from the wingbacks and the attacking midfielders are not wingers, they're tucked inside. There are 2 attacking midfielders behind the center forward, and that has been going well. It's how we defeated, for example, Uruguay 5-1, so it's been working. But for some reason, Pochettino changed that. They're going to say injuries, but that's not true. He had center back options on the bench. He could have kept the 3-4-2-1, but instead, we played a 4-2-3-1 this game. Now, I'm not going to get into the phases of play. It doesn't matter too much for the point I'm trying to make. But for example, defensively, there were a lot of issues with this 4-2-3-1 formation. If you're playing a back 3, when the wing back is marking the winger, let's say Weah is marking Doku, the center back can help double up or cover for Weah. But what was happening in this game was the midfielder was getting dragged out of position to help, and that clearly was a defensive issue throughout the entire match, mainly in the first half. Actually, both halves, what am I saying? On offense, it didn't work. Pulisic out wide wasn't dangerous. Balogun was underutilized, right? They couldn't really find him. He wasn't dangerous. There were no moments with Balogun, right? Besides one finish, nothing else happened. Tillman was a bit of a ghost. Now, McKennie was good, and McKennie can play on that role. Ideally, you want to play a 3-4-2-1, where Pulisic and McKennie are the double 10s behind Balogun. Anyhow, the change in formation, I'm not going to get too much into details. I talked about it in the stream. I can do a whole tactical breakdown video another day for the U.S. men's national team. It didn't work. And listen, it didn't work on defense, and it didn't work on offense. And what's incredible is that in the first half, we still played well, even though there were these issues. They were present. Now, the second half was an abomination. We're going to talk about the issues very soon. And the whole 45 minutes, right? But in a World Cup, if we play 5 minutes the way we played in the second half, we'll lose any game. It's over. That can't happen. And that's one of the many reasons why I'm concerned. But let's go to lesson number 2. Okay, lesson number 2. And this one's a positive one. And probably something you can hold on to if you want to remain optimistic for the World Cup. It's that a soccer game has 90 minutes, right? We all know that. And we played quite well for 45 minutes. I thought the first half, the United States was actually a bit superior to Belgium. We could have easily ended with a 2-0 win in the first half or 2-1. We had opportunities to score. Even though we had the issues I talked about tactically, right? The midfielder having to get dragged out of position to help Weah. On offense, we weren't really using Balogun properly, which is a very important player. Pulisic was struggling. That was not a tactical issue. We're going to talk about Pulisic very soon. But despite that, I thought we outplayed Belgium. I truly do think we did. And that's a top 10 team in the world. So this game was a bit weird. Where in the second half, we were abysmal. In the first half, we were quite good. You can remain optimistic if you believe the first half version of this team is what we're going to see in the World Cup. If that's what we are going to see, we have very good odds of topping our group. There's no Belgium level team in our group in the World Cup. And there are decent odds that we can win 1 or 2 knockout games if we play 90 minutes the way we played the first 45. Besides Pulisic, he needs to do better. But before we continue, make sure to drop a like in this video if you haven't already. And a quick word from our sponsor, PrizePicks. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Don't go anywhere. The playoff push is heating up and the tournament hoops are here. And there's no better way to cash in if you're right on the flying hoops action on PrizePicks, where it always feels good to be right. And everything that happens in the game just means a bit more when you're on PrizePicks. And with their brand new Team Picks Market, you can now pick game winners, spreads, and totals on top of the player picks you already know. Team Picks is also available in 35 states right now, including California, Texas, Georgia, Washington, and many others. And you know, if you're on PrizePicks and you have friends over, it just makes the watching experience more fun. And obviously play with responsibility. But don't worry, they also have a free-to-play mode. Yes, you can play for free with their free-to-play jackpot. Now, download the PrizePicks app today and pick your first game winner, spread, or total as a playoff push rolls on. And then you get $50 in daily fantasy lineups when you play your first $5 lineup by using the code CLNS. That is the code CLNS to get $50 in daily fantasy lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, promo code CLNS. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. All right, we are back. And now we're going to talk about lesson number 3. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. In the second half, we had Roldan coming in for Johnny Cardoso, right? Johnny felt something at halftime and he had to be subbed. Now, why was Roldan the choice? I don't know. You have Aiden Morris. You could have put Weston McKennie in the double pivot and put in Gio Reyna. But it is what it is. You could have even put Brendan Aronson. Roldan was the choice. And Roldan wasn't really terrible this game by any means. As a matter of fact, he was better than Christian Pulisic in my opinion. But, as I said, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. We conceded 2 goals super early in the second half. The first one that we conceded, Roldan was involved. It wasn't really his fault. There was a lot of players involved. The second one was Tim Ream with a handball. Bad luck. But then later on, as you can see, things started to get worse. You sub in Sebastian Berhalter. He looked completely lost. He looks like he cares about the national team, but he looked out of his depth. I believe even the 5th goal was mostly on Berhalter. He kind of backheeled the ball to the opponent. Didn't look good on the ball as well. Arfsten, if I'm not mistaken, the 4th goal was on him. And on offense, as I said many times, when we face a better opponent like Belgium, Arfsten won't offer anything. Those cool step overs, they won't work. The crosses, he's not going to get them. He's not going to have time and space. And that's what happened, right? He had 20 plus minutes, so a decent amount of minutes, maybe even more. And nothing happened, besides being a liability on defense, which he normally is. My point is there's a certain level of player that you cannot go to in the World Cup. You want to bring them for locker room purposes or whatever, fine, so be it. But I am willing to bet, right? I'm willing to bet on this, that if Roldan, Sebastian Berhalter, Arfsten, I might be forgetting a few other guys. Tim Ream, honestly, that's another one. But Tim Ream is not a quality problem. It's just age at this point. He's done. Because Tim Ream used to be very good. He was not good this game. Once again, he got exposed. But Tim Ream, even in MLS, like the Charlotte fans have been talking about this, he hasn't been good. Okay, Tim Ream is a separate case. But any of these guys, if Berhalter, Roldan, or Arfsten, if they play 30 minutes or more in any game in the World Cup, I'm willing to bet we lose that game. Of course, unless they're subbed in with a 4-0 lead, right? They're not that bad. But if they play 30 minutes plus in a regular game where it's close, we're going to lose that game. And I want to make one thing clear here right away. It's not really a MLS player problem, right? There's many MLS players that would be actually quite good and useful for the U.S. men's national team. The problem is they're not American. There's an American MLS player problem these days. The best players in MLS are not American, okay? And it's unfortunate or it's good because we're sending more players to Europe, whatever way you want to see it. But right now, it's not really an MLS player problem. It's an American MLS player problem. Lesson number 4, I want to be brief with this one. I'm not going to talk about Tim Ream anymore. I talked about some of those MLS guys that came in and didn't play well, in my opinion. I want to talk about the goalkeeper situation of the U.S. men's national team. So we gave Matt Turner a shot. I don't know who's going to start against Portugal, Matt Turner, Matt Freese. I think it's 6.5 dozen. The level's very close. It sucks that we don't have a Brad Friedel, a Tim Howard, because Turner wasn't really bad, besides with his feet, right? But shot stopping, the goals he conceded, they weren't mistakes. But for example, the first goal, Tim Howard saves that. Right? If you look at the goals we conceded, if you have a goalkeeper of that level like we had in 2014, Tim Howard, for example, I'm going to pick on him specifically, we probably concede 3 goals or something like that. It's a whole different game, right? And we don't have that. And I think we just have to grow to accept it. What used to be our strength, I wouldn't say goalkeeper is our main weakness, but it is a weak spot these days. And just to close this, my final thoughts on this, on Matt Freese, Matt Turner, who should start, I think it doesn't matter. You just kind of play the hot hand. I think they're very similar levels. And if they're very close at the time in terms of form, I would probably go with Matt Turner just because he has World Cup experience. And if it's penalty shootouts, go with Matt Freese. But there's not that big of a difference between those 2 goalkeepers. Lesson number 5 is about Christian Pulisic, which might be one of the most concerning things of all of them, right? Christian Pulisic's 2026 has been rough. Is it because of injuries? Is he tired? Is he feeling the pressure? Some people are saying it was because him and his girlfriend broke up. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's affecting him. Regardless of everything, he needs to figure it out. He is our best player. We need him in good form. We need him confident for the World Cup. If Pulisic is playing the way he's playing right now, the Pulisic hero ball, it ain't going to work. And the problem is, it's not like this is an isolated game. He's been bad for most of 2026 with Milan. In 2026, he has 1 assist with Milan so far. And we're in April. We're already in April. Okay, the season's almost over. He hasn't been good in the second half of the season. We need Pulisic to play well in the World Cup. And the current version of him hasn't been good. Okay, I don't have much more to say about Christian Pulisic. We can't bench him either. He is our best player. I'm not even saying that. I'm not implying that. It's just we need him to figure it out. And he has 2 months. Because I've been hearing for the past few months that, oh, he's doing poorly for Milan, but for the US, he'll show up. And then he didn't show up against Belgium. He was very bad. And then we have a game against Portugal. We'll see how he does there. But we just really need a confident Pulisic in 2 months. That's all I'm saying. Lesson number 6 is actually a positive one. It's that the set pieces have improved without Pulisic taking them. Anthony Robinson and Tillman delivered some very good set pieces. The positioning, the plays, they seemed like they were well thought out, well trained, and it worked out. We almost scored 2 goals off set pieces in the first half. One we scored with Weston McKennie. The other one we almost scored with McKennie as well. But most deliveries were dangerous. So one positive we got out of this, whatever they're doing with set pieces in training, whatever they're planning, it's working. Or at least for this game, it worked. Build off this. This was a positive. And think about it. Once we have Chris Richards back from injury, he'll be another weapon we can use, not just McKennie. So whatever they're doing in training with set pieces, at least what we saw this game, keep doing it. That was a positive, and we're going to need it in the World Cup. Lesson number 7, I'm going to try to make this as straightforward as possible and keep it as rational, down to earth as we can. It's a tough loss. It's 5-2, and we're very close to the World Cup. And I want to say this. It's not all doom and gloom. Okay, it's not the end of the world. We're still going to play the World Cup and nothing has happened yet. The same way, if we beat Belgium 5-2, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. A few months ago, we beat Uruguay 5-1. That's a very tough team. Uruguay just tied England. And they could play Belgium. They could beat Belgium. So everything I talked about in this video is quite concerning. But as long as Pochettino learns from it and fixes all these issues, it's not all doom and gloom. Maybe this was the right wake-up call. The wake-up call we needed, but not the one we deserved. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go. On Monday, which is tomorrow, we will release the USA versus Portugal match preview with a very, very special guest. And then obviously we'll do the live watch along on Tuesday, right? The preview on Monday, live watch along on Tuesday, 7 things we learned on Wednesday. And then this camp is over. And once this is over, the next stop is the 2026 World Cup. Okay? Get excited. Regardless of the result, get excited and look forward to it. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.